What's up guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to try and keep it pretty short and simple, but I'm going to be talking about how you can get better entries for your trades that you're taking or for just your investments in general. I've seen too many messages in my Discord and my DMs and like in my TikTok comments about people who are down really bad on their positions because they bought basically near the highs instead of buying lower. Like I know it's the whole joke of you want to buy low, sell high, but like that's really what you're aiming to do. And I'm just going to go over a brief introduction of what the different market stages are so that you can actually know when to buy low and when to buy or sell high. All right, so I typed it out for you guys right here, and essentially the 4 stages of the market are the accumulation phase, the markup phase, the distribution phase, and the decline phase. So I'm gonna see if I could draw it out for you guys. But essentially what happens during the accumulation phase, this is where people are getting their orders in. You'll usually see a lot of consolidation, more volume, and just a lot more volatility in this area. From there, you have what's called the markup phase, and that's like the first push, and you'll have pushes after that. And then you get into what's called the distribution, and this is where price does essentially what happened in the accumulation, but just in reverse. And then you have the decline where price starts pulling back. And if you're in an uptrend, usually the pullback will be not as low as the previous pullback. Price will start here, and then from here you get into a new accumulation phase, and then price marks up again and it keeps moving higher and higher. And that's essentially how all of these phases work. And what I often see is like when I get these messages or when I see these comments, I see people who buy right up here. They buy during the distribution phase, right? And they have their stop loss. They probably don't even have a stop loss most of the time, but they see price crashing down. And what they end up doing is they end up selling during the accumulation phase. And this is what happens when a lot of people say, I buy and it goes straight down. And the second I sell, it goes straight up. Like this is why it happens, because you're selling at the wrong phases in the market. And just for future reference, I usually call the markup in the decline periods the impulse phase. So if I start saying impulse as I get to the actual chart examples over here, you'll just know what that means. But overall, your goal as a trader, the best probability trades are to follow the trends. The trend will always usually make more of a move than the decline. You see that this is a shorter decline, but the next move higher is a stronger push. That's what happens when price is in an uptrend, and that's why you want to follow along with the trends. So you don't want to buy when price is high. You want to wait till price starts consolidating. You start seeing signs of reversal, and depending on what your entry strategies are, that's where you can get more specific, where it's like a candlestick entry, a crossover, whatever entry you choose to take. But maybe you might take the breakout here on a trade, and you see that this has a lot better probability for a trade and a lot better risk reward than taking a trade somewhere up here, trying to get long right here and expecting price to start flying. You might go into some profit, but next thing that happens, you end up getting stopped out, or even worse, which I see a lot of people end up doing, they end up taking a trade all the way down here because they think, oh, price dipped down a lot, let me buy in. But it's like you haven't waited for price to slow down. You don't want to catch a falling knife. So now I'm going to go on to the actual charts of the S&P 500. I'm going to point out a few phases to show you guys and show how you can get better entries as well. All right, so right now here on the S&P 500, we're on an hourly chart. As you can see, price has this very nice move to the upside, this long trend. So that's essentially what we're going to be analyzing for right now. I'm also going to go in and show you a bigger time frame because this works on all time frames. That's what I want to throw in. This works on all time frames. The thing is though that you just have to realize where it's happening on each time frame where it's occurring. So right here, we see a new break of high, right? This is where we finally see on the hourly time frame that price is trending higher. We saw price come down, start making basically higher lows, and it finally made a higher high. So what's happening now, I'll get rid of these drawings, we see that this right here was the impulse phase. This was the markup phase where you see price, and if you went to a smaller time frame, you would see little pullbacks, but you just see a strong move to the upside. That's essentially what you're seeing. And from here, you wouldn't want to buy at this area. A lot of people might buy out here and say, oh, there's a breakout of this previous resistance. Let me buy this breakout and I'll put my stop down here. And look what happens. They end up getting stopped out, and then right after that, price rallies. This is what we're trying to avoid. So essentially, what you would do is you would recognize that this phase right here is a distribution phase. right? This phase right here would be considered a distribution phase. People are getting out of their shares, people are selling, and price is likely to decline soon. And what you want to do is you want to wait for that pullback. So you see these areas, I'll point out all of them that I see here. You see this another decline phase here, another decline phase here. It gets a little choppy here, but you can still consider this a slight decline, but like it was a pause in momentum, but price never really broke a high yet, so I wouldn't consider this one too much. And then you see another pause in momentum right here. These are all declining phases that you want to stay away from. You do not want to buy at these areas. They are not safe areas. What you want to do is you want to wait for all of the moves to the downside here, all of the moves down, right? And see where price starts slowing down. You see price and the accumulation phases right here, another accumulation phase here, another accumulation phase here, and then this one's a little bit choppier, but you see another accumulation phase here before price starts moving up. And you'll notice that it's hard to know whether a price is in the distribution or accumulation, because what you're looking at is you're just looking at a couple candles. Like it's hard to say like, oh, price is distributing. What you have to do is you have to go into smaller time frames. So I'm going to go and look at, say, a 5 minute right now, and I'm going to look at, I'm going to look at the exact same spots right here, but on a 5 minute time frame. So look at what we see here, right? Same distribution and accumulation things, but on 5 minute time frame, same trend and same structure. And now what we're looking at is we see price make a high, it fails to make a high, it gets lower, and you see price weakening at this area. This is sure and tell signs that distribution is happening at this area, and you eventually see price make a new low right here. And this is where you know that we're now entering the decline area of the markup phase. So you know that price is starting to come into the distribution phase when you see price fail to make new highs. When it's failing to make new highs and it makes a new low like this, I would automatically say we're in the distribution phase. And even though price makes this push up here, I know that it's not going to make a new high. It's very likely that price is going to reject and it's going to keep coming back down lower. And you can see that over here as well, right? Same type of scenario where you see price coming up, right? Not making higher highs, starting to bounce towards the bottom down here, right? You'll see like a base where like price is just holding, and you'll see price start to make lower highs, and then eventually you get the decline. And that's what you need to be able to spot on a regular basis to know that price isn't at the best area to get in. And then it's exact opposite for the accumulation phases. What you're essentially waiting for is price to come down, right? You see it making lower highs, but then starts to make higher or lower lows, but then price starts to make higher lows, and you see price start trending, and then you have the whole accumulation phase. Same thing here, where price comes down, price comes back up, price starts chopping down. You see it made a lower low here, but then we see another move up here, price comes up. You can even consider this part of the accumulation and get an entry over here. And see, this is my first time looking at this. I'm doing this all live right now, but it's like if you're just able to spot these phases, right, you can get an understanding of what price is doing. And you have the same exact situation here, just to show you guys the last one. Price reversing, right? New move here, and then you see price come back down, and this would have been the perfect time to enter to catch this entire move. Okay, so I cleared up my charts here, and now I'm going to show you just quick examples on the 5 minute, and I'll probably go into like a 4 hour or a daily chart. So like I said, this works whenever price is trending, right? So remember up here, we said that this was a distribution phase and we had a pullback. So within these pullbacks, you'll see trends on the smaller time frame. So right here, right, this is the exact opposite of what I've been showing, and now it's just the reverse because we're in a downtrend on the 5 minute. And what we're looking at right here, right, you have the same type of thing. This is a distribution phase, right? You have your impulsive move, another move up, distribution, another sharp move down, right? And you see these small like accumulation phases down here, more accumulation phases down here, and you see other moves just start moving. And as we get lower to here, you see that the accumulation and distribution phases are actually a little bit harder to see. That's because now we are in a higher time frames accumulation phase. So once you see price doing all of this and it gets harder on the 5 minute to recognize the trend, that's where you start looking up towards the higher time frames, right? Like the hourly, and you look at the bigger time frame trend that's happening, and you realize, okay, price is getting weird on the 5 minute trend because there's a bigger trend in play that's forming at this time right now. And I'm now on the 1 minute time frame. So the same way that I went from the hourly time frame down to the 5 minute to recognize some of these phases, now I went from the 5 minute down to the 1 minute so I can also see the declines in these phases as well. So we see right here, we said that this is the distribution phase. We see price fail to really make any higher highs. We see a sharp decline. This is what you'll often see. You'll often see a sharp decline, or you'll see just price fail to make new highs, and you'll see another push. And that's where all the momentum dies out. And then that's when you finally see price break down. And then up here as well, we see price fail to make higher highs. It starts chopping lower. And then we see another move to the downside. This is all the same type of price movement on different time frames. All that you have to do is work towards making sure that your eye can easily spot these areas when you're taking these trades. Okay, now I'm back on the daily time frame. And from my example before, when I was showing you the hour trends for my first example, this was actually the point where we started off, right? Where I said on the hourly time frame, right? This is where the trend started to reverse down here, right? Where we started off making higher highs and forming a new trend. If you scroll out onto the daily time frame, right, you will see that you have another accumulation phase here. It might be a little bit easier to see maybe if you go into an 8-hour chart, right? But you see right here that you have another accumulation phase where price is pulling back. It pulled back here. It made a high, distributed here, another accumulation phase, and price makes a new high up here. And this is where now if you looked at the hourly chart, you can see price make a low, fail to make a lower low, start to make a new high, finally pull back, and then you have this strong impulsive phase. Now, I know this video was very rushed, but it was just trying to give you a brief overview that the way that you guys enter your trades need to be at high probability, good areas in market structure, right? Price is the only thing that pays, and you need to make sure that you pay attention to where price is. You don't want to buy high, and you don't want to end up selling low. You want to buy when price is pulling back, or you want to sell when price is pulling back on a downtrend, but you want to make sure that you're getting in at good areas where you see that price is slowly beginning to reverse, and that it's likely that if you have just a safe stop below the low, and if you have a price up here, you can easily capture trades like 1 to 3s using situations like these. Now, I know I rushed through this pretty quickly and I'm talking pretty fast, but I just wanted to get this out there and just make sure that I can show you guys how you can at least improve the way that you enter trades and the timing of your trades. Because ultimately, you cannot time the market, but there is a good time to get into the market and a bad time to get into the market. And during these accumulation phases are good times to buy, and during these distribution phases are good times to sell. If you have any questions about the stuff I've been saying, make sure you go and join the Discord. I'm very active in there, and I'll be available to answer all your questions. Thanks for watching the video, and make sure you like and subscribe.